Good evening, lovely ones. Welcome to our One Love Connection, midweek connection, actually. It is Wednesday, and if you hear a little bit of fan noise, it's because I'm at Elam, our location that we share space with another church here in St. Petersburg, and I'm here at the office meeting with a few folks today, and decided that this evening I would just hang around, stay for a few minutes, and bring to you the Midweek Connection right here from Elam. It's been a wonderful transitional journey for us. We're very grateful for the building that we are allowed to share with the wonderful folks of Elam. They've been very kind and very open to us, and we're grateful for that. And the air conditioner is running. That's why you hear some of that noise. I want us to take just a few moments, and before we get into this evening's chat, just center ourselves a little bit. Maybe you've been centering yourself throughout the day, and that's fantastic. But let's take just a few moments right here, right now. Maybe you place your hand on your heart space or the solar plexus right there at the navel. Open up your third eye and the crown chakra so that Holy Spirit can pour into us during this time together. I'll invite you into a deep breath. And release. And another deep breath. And release. Right here and right now, I surrender. I surrender my intellect. I surrender my judgments, my critiques. I let go of the noise and the chaos of the day, and I take a few moments here to just be present. And I say, Spirit of Truth, take from me what I don't need, bring to me what I do need. I am surrendered completely. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk on the water wherever you'd call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith is made stronger in your presence. As we move throughout this evening, give me the ability to let go of what I think I know and be released back into the knowing, which only comes through the ability to say, I don't know. As my spiritual father used to say all of the time, we believe a whole lot, but we know very little. Help remind us of that. But remind us then, in doing so, to be humble enough to move into the knowing. In other words, aligning ourselves with the Spirit that knows all things. So over these next few moments together, guide us, direct us, teach us, take us where you will. Take from us what you will. We're completely surrendered. In the name and the nature of the indwelling presence, I pray. And so it is. And so it is. You know, for 81 weeks, we studied the Tao Te Ching. Each week grabbing a new verse. We've done it two ways since One Love has been in existence. We did it chapter 1 through 81. And then we turned around and did chapter 81 back to chapter 1. And so today, I want to draw from the Tao Te Ching, but I'm not starting this over. Really, since I've decided to start living the Tao, I have found that the Tao has started living through me and for me. So it's, when you master something, that means you can do it without thinking about it. And I've learned to master the Tao in that, not that I'm some kind of a great master, but I've learned to do it without thinking about it. I've noticed that, for instance, the practice of non-interference has shown up in my life. When I'm in a situation where others are either asking for some kind of advice or there's some kind of a shift that's taking place, maybe a little bit of chaos, a little bit of noise. Instead of trying to take charge of that situation and control what other people are doing, I've learned how to live in a state of non-interference, where I'm able to, as I've mentioned to you before, practice what I call emotional and spiritual Aikido. And Aikido is again, a martial art that's not built on offense, it's built on defense. And the ability to move energy away from its ability to harm you. So I started to live the Tao in that way. I've learned to live the art of non-doing. I don't think it's because I'm getting older. I think it's because I'm expanding and maturing, that now I've got to the place where I can just sit and be. I can sit down by the water and just listen to the Gulf, listen to the birds sing. I can sit out on the back patio, do the same thing, and not have to do, because I realize I'm not a human doing, I'm a human being. And I love to go and I make jokes about going to the amusement parks with Carrie. She's an amusement park fiend. She loves it. It's not the theme of my life, but she loves it. And I love to go anywhere that she's going. I love to be with her. But I really have learned the art of non-doing, and I enjoy that. I also have honed in on the art of non-dual thinking. In other words, I'm not in a duel with anyone. I'm at one with everyone I come in contact with. My favorite principle that I have learned and am still learning to live, though, is the Tao is kind to the kind, and it's kind to the unkind because kindness is its nature. Learning how to love and accept people simply as they are, because they are, and because that's who I am. Not loving people to be loved in return, but loving for the sake of love. Being compassionate for the sake of compassion. Being good for goodness' sake. Not because I'm afraid of a God that might judge me or a devil that might be getting ready to throw me in hell, but being good for goodness' sake. The Tao has helped to teach me that, and as a result of studying it, it has begun to study me. And I begin to learn how to follow the teacher, which I believe is the pure presence. So when we talk about Tao, we're essentially talking about the divine, the source. But this evening, I wanted to come back to verse 29, and in many ways, I think it's because of what we see in the world around us. Let me give you a for instance. I love what I'm seeing personally in the political realm. And not because of any particular politician, but because of the focus on joy and celebration, peace, unity, harmony, a sense of coming back together instead of complaint and whining and talking about how bad things are, which tends to be happening. There's been a switch toward, hey, there's a bright future ahead of us. We can all go get it together. I love to watch that happening, so I enjoy that. But one of the things that I heard someone point out just recently, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me, was she pointed out that, for instance, democracy is not built around great leaders. And one of the points that she made was that we made the mistake several years ago of looking for nothing more than good leaders. We want a great leader in our life. The fact of the matter is a democracy is built on the people leading themselves and as a result leading their country towards something greater. In other words, the collective. Reminding yourself that you don't as much need great leaders as you need to step into your own greatness as a society, as a people. Well, to me, that's what the Tao teaches. It teaches us to become our own free moral agents. It teaches us to move into our own sovereignty, to move into our own God nature and to our own divinity. And part of that comes forward to me in the Tao Te Ching. We learn, as the Serenity Prayer says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, but the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. And Tao verse 29 says this: do you really think you can take charge of the universe and make it better? Honestly, I don't think it's possible. Now, this is my translation of this, okay? Do you really think you can take charge of the whole universe and make it somehow better? Honestly, I don't think that's possible. Everything around us is precious and cannot be controlled. When we try to seize control, we often end up causing chaos. In our efforts to hold on tightly, we can end up losing everything we care about. The truth is, and let me say this to us all before I go any further into the next stanza. Everything around us is precious and cannot be controlled. It grows wild because it's wild. Now, the same is true for you. And when people try to control people, at some point there will be a revolution. Now, the revolt will happen, and the revolution will hopefully lead to evolution instead of just another level of slavery. But we've seen that in our societies as we've gone on. If we look back over history, And here's a little tidbit, by the way. The rear view mirror and the side view mirrors are smaller than the windshield for a reason, because you should be able to check your past, but you should be looking toward your future. You should be looking into the wide open expanse of the possibilities instead of always estimating your probabilities on something that's in the past. And this is something that we find hard to do as we get older in life, is that we have a tendency to think, I have learned so much, that I have so much wisdom, that now I'm going to filter everything through what has been. The problem with that is that the brain never operates in the now. It certainly doesn't operate in the future. It normally operates in the past. In fact, it operates always in the past. And this is why it's important for you to know who's in charge. That the brain should not be in charge, the body should not be in charge, but that you, the CEO, your higher consciousness, should be in charge. But everything around us is precious and cannot be controlled. The moment you think you're controlling it, you're really you're misusing the energy that you have. See, the thing is, when you try to seize control, you end up causing more chaos. Our Earth right now is in a situation because we have tried to control this planet, and this planet will not be controlled. It is revolting right now because we've tried to control it, and as a result of that, it's revolting and turning wild. In our efforts to hold on tightly, we can end up losing everything we care about. I've heard this example given, and I think this example is fantastic. It's essentially the same thing as trying to grip. The harder you grip water, the more slips through your fingers. The harder you grip onto something, the more it escapes your use. See, if you're going to get a drink of water and you don't have a cup, the best thing for you to do is, the term is to cup your hands gently and take the water in and sip. If you try to grip it, it will remove itself from your grip. Instead, let your life flow naturally. Understand that your life is already a beautiful journey in its own right. Just like the rhythm of breath, inhale and exhale, there are moments for moving forward and moments for stepping back, times for being active and time for resting. Periods of energy and then times of fatigue. Phases of safety and moments of risk. We should not try to control life. We should accept it as it is, because most of our suffering is attached to us wanting things to be different than they are. Going back to the serenity prayer. Why is it called the serenity prayer? Because the most serene way you can live is to be aware of what you can change and do it if you would like, but also to be aware of what you cannot change, to accept it as it is and know that if anything needs to change, God, higher self, the divine, can do that. But it's not left up to me to be in charge or to control it. It's like the breath we breathe. There's a rhythm. There's a pattern. And when we release ourselves from trying to control all of the other things that are going on outside of us, we end up releasing ourselves from its slavery. If you think you can control the world around you, you will be a slave to it as you try. But the only thing in this world that we can actually manage is our own self and our response to what's happening in the world around us. There are moments, as it says in the Tao, to move forward. And then there's moments to step back. There's moments to slow down. There's moments to say, hey, let's take a closer look at this. There's times to be active and to move. I like to be active. I like to work out. I like to get into the gym. But then I know there's a time also that my body needs to rest. There's a time where my mind, my brain needs to rest. But there's a time for activity as well. There are periods of energy and then there's periods of fatigue. We all know that. We go through those phases. There's even phases of safety and moments of risk. And that can be read in multiple different ways. The way that comes to mind at the moment for me, there's a time in business and when it comes to your finances or your education or shifting from a job you hate to a career you really want, there's a time for you to take a risk. And then there's a time for you to play it safe. Know the difference. Allow the pure presence, allow the Holy Spirit to bring you into the awareness of when to take a leap of faith, to move into a moment of risk, and when to just be safe and lay back a little bit and let unfold. It's sometimes a tightrope walk, There's a thin line sometimes, but be aware of it through discernment and through intuition. And that intuition comes through the power of the presence of the Holy One that's within us. For someone wise, every part of life is a step toward becoming the best version of ourselves at every point in my life. So why chase after the unnecessary, the flashy, or the extreme? In the life that you have lived, you've already had the opportunity to experience steps forward and steps toward your best version, the best version of you, steps toward unfolding your full Dharma. And that includes those times you felt like were setbacks. They weren't really setbacks as much as they were setups for comebacks. I've said to you before, one of the best ways to leap high is to get low. So the moments in your life that humbled you, that seemed to knock your feet out from under you, that seemed to knock you to the ground, those were moments to catapult you. Those were moments that were allowed to come into your life to help you to spring forward. Sometimes you just need to wait and see the salvation of the Lord. Many of us think when we're going through chaotic times and we see disturbing things transpiring, we think that God's no longer at work. We think that the presence, the divine, is no longer at work. We think it's disappeared. Here's a truth that might help you today. The teacher often remains silent in the final test. And sometimes you have been given all of the ingredients that you need, and sometimes the perennial source, Mother, Father, God, will withdraw its verbiage, withdraw seemingly its presence, so that we can actually move into the elements that we've been taught to use and actively use the tools that we've been given by the pure presence, the wisdom that we need, the knowledge, the inspiration, what we have been given to carry out the next phase of our life and the next phase of our journey. And we're carried by the wisdom that we've already received from pure presence. So here's a few things to take away this evening and to think about. Really question the next time that you're upset about the way things are transpiring. Really question the feasibility of you taking charge of the universe to improve it. Really, seriously question it. Do I really think me as one person, one persona in the world, am here to improve the universe? Question the feasibility of that. Number 2, acknowledge the preciousness and the uncontrollability of everything around you. Notice the preciousness of the world around you. Notice and be grateful, actually, appreciative for the ebb and the flow of life. Notice it, become aware of it, see it as precious, and see it as something that is free and beyond our control. Manage your response to it. Number 3, recognize that attempts to control often lead to chaos. How many of us can look back over our life and see those moments that we tried to control something or someone, we threw it into a whirlwind. We actually created a high level of chaos. Listen, this can be true with raising children. You think that controlling them is actually going to be the best thing because you think in your head that they don't know within them, that they don't have a knowledge or an understanding. See, one of the things that we often do with our children by not giving them responsibility to answer their own questions and make their own decisions is we don't give to them the ability for them to make their own decisions and exercise that muscle in their life. We should allow them to make some choices and make decisions while they're with us so that in some ways we can sort of be the bumpers on the bowling alley. And instead, many of us want to control every aspect of their life, and by the time they get out on their own, they don't even know where their compass is because we took the compass away from them. We were too busy telling them when to turn left and when to turn right, and their instinctive abilities were not exercised. So recognize the times that your attempt to control, has led to chaos. Number 4, understand that holding on too tightly can result in losing what we value. Some things, in fact, this is a big one. Some of our beliefs that we've held on to, we've choked the life out of those beliefs. Those beliefs are old and stale because we have been unwilling to believe for the fresh bread of pure presence every single day. And we've held on tightly to our beliefs. And as a result of that, we have lost the value of it. In fact, you can hold on to it so tightly that you choke it out and it loses its ability to be a blessing to you. Number 5, embrace the natural flow of life and its journey. You may as well embrace it. Otherwise, it's going to be, you'll have to forcibly experience it. I've said to you before, one of the natural flows of life is to breathe in, and before you can breathe in another breath, you have to exhale. So there is an ebb and flow. There's a receiving and a giving that must take place. The same thing is true with your finances, by the way. If finances come into your life, acknowledge it like a breath. You breathe it in, you exhale it out. So you receive the gift, you give the gift back so that you make room for more to flow to your life. But embrace the natural flow of life. If you hold your breath, nature will take its course and it will be taken from you rather than you giving it back. So don't hold your breath. Live in the natural flow. Number 6, appreciate the balance of activity and rest, energy and fatigue, safety and risk. Just have an appreciation of the balance of those things. There's a time to be active. There's a time to rest. There's a time to be energetic. There's a time to feel fatigue. Again, I go back to there's a time to feel a sense of safety, and there's a time to sense risk, or to take risks. Number 7, view every aspect of your life as a step toward even more self-approval, and as a result of that, self-improval or self-improvement. Visualize and view every aspect of your life as a step toward self-realization, self-actualization, self-approvement, and self-improvement. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you're constantly trying to improve yourself and you never take any time to approve of yourself, you'll never make any advancements. You'll be in a constant flow of activity and trying to better myself. The truth is the best way to quote unquote better yourself is to fully accept who you are. When you do that, the true self begins to evolve and it begins to grow because it feels safe to do so. Number 8, avoid chasing after unnecessary, flashy, and extreme pursuits. Avoid chasing after. This doesn't mean that you don't require an excellence of your life. That's not what it means. It just means avoid the stress of those flashy and absolutely unnecessary pursuits in your life. I've seen this happen in my own life. As parents, I go back to this, I feel drawn toward this today. As parents often, we make unnecessary decisions that cause stress when it comes to our children, simply because there's almost something in us that tells us to say no. It's like if you say yes all of the time, your children become spoiled. Well, what if your kids are actually making really good choices, and you only say no because A, it inconveniences you, or B, because you think, I can't tell them yes all the time, that will spoil them. If their idea is good, go with it. If you have questions about it, instead of staunchly saying no, ask the question. But what about this? And what about that? Instead of just automatically saying no and creating an unnecessary stressful situation. Be at peace as often as you can be by avoiding chasing unnecessary, flashy, or extreme pursuits. And ultimately, in closing, remember, you are not going to control this life. And nobody gets out of this life alive. You're not going to be in charge no matter how much you want to be. You will never be in charge. So allow yourself to be at rest and allow yourself to be at peace. Stop trying to improve the universe. Now, could we improve the world? Yes. In a sense, we can improve the world, not the earth. Not the earth. We need to leave the earth alone. Let it have its natural flow. Can we improve the world? Yes. And what I mean by that is that the world, from the word cosmos, is the cosmetic that's been put on the earth, and it's something that we have called life. Because we've made an agreement around it, it continues to outflow. So can we improve the cosmetics? Yes. Can we improve how the world is playing out? Yes, we can. But this goes back to the serenity prayer. This is why we pray it in a sense of surrender, because surrender leads to serenity. Grant me the ability, God grant me the ability to accept the things I cannot change, which is the universe at large. The Tao takes care of that. Give me the ability to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, which more than likely is me. More than likely it's my own perception that needs to change, but the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom, there it is, the key, to know the difference. Help me to know the difference when I am trying to control the universe and when I'm actually changing something that is possible for me to change, but don't let me stress about either one of them. Give me the ability to not stress about either one of them. I think I've told you before about the Zen proverb that says, if you have a problem and you can fix it, why stress? If you have a problem and you can't fix it, why stress? Because if you can fix it, well, then get active and fix it. If you can't fix it, surrender, and something else or someone else will show up in your life to fix it. Either way, let it go, as we say in the recovery movement, or has been said in the recovery movement. Let go and let God. Let higher divine mind, higher consciousness take charge of that. And you release and let go. As it says in the Christian Bible, stand still stand, and see, perceive, the salvation, sozo, deliverance and freedom, the salvation of God. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And that word Lord could be just universal law. So stand still and see the salvation of universal law. Going back to, I cannot control or improve the universe, but I can release myself from trying to and allow the natural flow of that to happen. And I can stand still and see the salvation, the deliverance, the freedom of the Lord. Universal law. Holy Spirit, give us the ability to receive life like we're receiving a breath, but also to release the stuff that's going on in life just like exhaling. We receive it and we nurture our being, and we exhale what's not necessary for us to hold on to. Give us that ability, pure presence, I pray. In the name and the nature of the indwelling Christ presence. And so it is. And so it is, and it be like that. All right, my friends, I want to say thank you for joining in this evening. This has been a little bit of a chat about Tao Te Ching verse 29. I hope that something in this talk this evening has been meaningful to you and a blessing to you. Please continue to consider supporting this ministry, One Love Consciousness Movement. The ways to give are on the screen, is on the screen on the way out. If it's $10, $20, $100, $500, whatever is on your heart. Those who are sustaining this ministry through your giving, just a few, thank you for your willingness to do that. Thank you for supporting this ministry. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to those who hook up with our meditations on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, Midweek Connection on Wednesday evenings, and then our Sunday morning connection at 10 a.m. Those who are joining by way and as a result of First Unity Spiritual Campus, thank you for supporting that campus. It really needs your involvement, and I want to say thank you for that. All right, my friends, I hear the music getting started, so I'm going to get out of here right now. Go and make it a great day, because you can, and you know you can. Peace.